Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. Today's video is going to be my June reading recap, where I am going to go over all of the books that I read during the month and give you my final ratings. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, I want to go ahead and link my June TBR up in the cards in case you would like to check that out and see what I was supposed to read. I didn't get to everything, but I got to almost everything. So I did manage to read a total of 10 full books, and I did also have my first DNF of 2023. So what I'm gonna do is start with the DNF. I'll talk about that a little tiny bit, and then I'll just go through the books from my least favorite to favorite, not including the DNF, since I did not finish that. Obviously that's my least favorite. But I don't rate DNFs. I don't feel like that's fair, especially this one, because I really hardly got into it at all. So let's go ahead and talk about that DNF. The DNF was The Devotion of Suspect X by Keigo Higashino. This was the June pick for the Literally Dead book club hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala. I got 19 pages into this and DNF'd it. It is translated from Japanese and the translation just was not doing it for me. It took me absolutely forever to get through those 19 pages. I just felt like the sentences were very choppy, very short. It was like just very staccato, didn't have any rhythm, any flow, and I'm sure that is a fault of the translation, and I just did not want to deal with that. I also watched the live show, just the first part, to see what everyone rated it, and everyone gave it like 3 stars. So it was kind of like an average, mediocre book. I didn't get along well with the translation, so I DNF'd it. So that's that one. Also, as a side note, every book that I'm going to talk about in this recap, I vlogged. I've been doing weekly reading vlogs this summer just to kind of change it up a little bit since I don't have a lot of teaching content to share. I've been sharing more book content. I will link all of the June vlogs down below if you would like to go back and watch them, because all of these books were talked about a lot in those vlogs. So now let's go ahead and start with number 10 to number 1. So coming in at number 10 was The Poison Eaters and Other Stories by Holly Black. I gave this 3 stars. This is a short story collection. Some of the stories you probably are familiar with, and well, one in particular is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, because she wrote a full-length book with that same title based on this premise. If you are curious about each of my individual ratings for these stories, I did talk about them in the vlog, but I also linked them like in my Goodreads reading updates. So I'll link that down below so you can see each individual story. But I averaged it out. It came to 3 stars. Very average, kind of mediocre short story collection. I really was not a fan. Some of the standouts, let's see if I can even remember. So I liked The Night Market. I liked Paper Cut Scissors. Is that the one? Yeah, Paper Cut Scissors. I liked The Code of Stars. And I liked The Land of Heart's Desire. But the rest of them honestly was like 3 stars, 3.5 stars. I gave out like a 1 star, a couple 2 stars. So this was not my favorite, but this was my buzzword pick for June. The buzzword was other, so there you go. So the buzzword is checked off. I just didn't really like this book. Coming in at number 9 is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell, which I also gave 3 stars. I listened to this one on audio. This was the book that decided for me that Lisa Jewell is not really an author for me, so I will not be reading any more from her in the future. At number 8, we have a book from my 23 and 2023 list, which was If We Were Villains by ML Rio, which also got 3 stars. I found this very pretentious and over the top. I didn't really like the characters. I am not the biggest fan of Shakespeare, so the fact that this is like steeped in Shakespeare to the point where the characters are like quoting it out of context, I just did not enjoy the book all that much. I also had a big problem with the ending, and not for the reason that a lot of people have problems with the ending. So this is another one. I'm gonna link my review down below. There is a huge spoiler in that review, but if you wanna know kind of what really just was the final nail in the coffin for me with this book. You can read that review. But yes, 3 stars. It was not all that it was hyped up to be. At number 7, we have The Mystery at the Moss-Covered Mansion by Carolyn Keene. This was the 19th Nancy Drew book, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I quite enjoyed this one. I read the original version, so the one that was published in like 1940 with the original storyline. There were a lot of twists and turns, kept you kind of guessing on the edge of your seat. Nancy, in typical Nancy fashion, like, gains an extra talent. She's amazing at painting, but also she like escapes like near-death situations like 2 or 3 times. So you have to suspend your sense of disbelief, but I did really enjoy it. Thought the mystery was really well done. This is probably one of my favorite Nancy Drews that I've read. Coming in at number 6 is Radium Girls by Cy, I believe is how it's pronounced, C-Y period. It is a French graphic novelist. This was a graphic novel based on the story of the Radium Girls. There is a full-length book by Kate Morton, I think is what her name is, that I also want to read. This was a good primer for that. But yes, talks about the real-life story of the girls who worked in a watch factory and painted the numbers on the watch dials with radium-based paint and what happened because of that. So if you're looking for like a little jump into what that was all about, this was a good way to start. I wasn't a fan of the art, so I only gave it 4 stars. Coming in at number 5 is The Mysterious Benedict Society and the Riddle of Ages by Trenton Lee Stewart. This is the 4th book in the Mysterious Benedict Society series. I gave it 4 stars. Did I say that? I can't remember. But I gave it 4 stars. I felt like this was a really nice way to wrap up the series. The ending was a little too cutesy for me personally, but I understand why he did it that way. You're saying goodbye to the characters and all of that. I really did enjoy this. This is set several years past the first 3 books, so the characters are a little bit older. They're dealing with some more coming of age type stuff. I did enjoy it, gave it 4 stars, just the ending, little too cutesy. At number 4 was House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig, which I also gave 4 stars. This is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and this was meant to be my buzzword pick for May, but I didn't get to it in May. So finally read it in June, and I'm really sad that I put it off because I really did enjoy it to the point where I've put the upcoming sequel on my TBR. I believe the sequel comes out the end of July or August, but it comes out soon. So I'm looking forward to reading that. But yes, you're following the sisters of the 12 Dancing Sisters fame. Several of them have met unfortunate ends. They've passed away. We have our main character, Anna Lee. She is the narrator, and she is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. There's some interesting mythology in this book, some magic, I guess, for lack of a better word, and some twists and turns that I didn't see coming. So I did really enjoy it. Lots of gothic vibes. Would recommend if you're into that. But yes, 4 stars for that one. And now we are into my top 3, which are also my 5 stars. So coming in at number 3 is Wayward by Emilia Hart. You are following 3 women from the Wayward family, as each is dealing with different things. So you have 2019, which is Kate, you have 1619, which is Alpha, and you have 1942, which is Violet. These ladies are from a family of what would have been called witches. They are very in tune with nature. They kind of know different secrets and things like that, different ways you can mix things together to kind of heal people, that sort of thing. But I really, really enjoyed this. 3 very distinct personalities. Quite a great job of like blending all of their stories together. This is a debut, so I'm looking forward to reading more from this author, and I would definitely recommend. At number 2 is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. This is his newest release. It just came out in June. Again, 5 stars. Both of the books that I've read by him have now gotten 5 stars, and I have Blacktop Wasteland sitting over here behind me that I'm hoping to get to as well this month, which I'm also hoping will be 5 stars. This one follows a black sheriff in a small county in Virginia, and he is dealing with a serial killer. So, yes. Read the Goodreads synopsis. There were some things that kind of surprised me that I didn't realize were like content in this book. So make sure you read the Goodreads one, not the flap on the book. That one doesn't mention them. So, you know, trigger warning, I'm just throwing that out there. But I really, really enjoyed it. Again, 5 stars. I did a whole vlog on this book basically, so I'll link that one above because that was pretty much the only book I read that one week, but it was phenomenal. And my number one book for the month of June was We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This is a YA book. You are following a girl who has my actual name, except it's spelled M-A-R-I-N. And when I first heard it on the audio, it threw me. So yes, her name is Marin. She is from California. She goes to school in New York City, and she is running away from something that happened at home right before she left for school. Her best friend, or former best friend, Mabel, has flown across the country to New York to try to get Marin to talk about what is going on, to try to convince her to come home with her and to her family. And this was that story. This made me cry. Almost every Nina LaCour book I've read has made me cry, and it's another 5 stars. She is by far one of my favorite authors of all time, and I'm really glad to have finally read this one. It is very short. It reads very quickly. I would highly recommend. So those are the books that I read in the month of June. So now let's talk about some overall reading stats. So I did read a total of 11 books. 10 full books, 1 DNF, my first DNF of 2023. That came out to a total of 2,965 pages, but that's like with an asterisk because also during the month of June, I was working on the Histories by Herodotus. I just did not get it finished, so it couldn't go in this. I've finished it now that it's July, but I didn't have it finished in June. And I read almost the entirety of this in the month of June. So if you think about that page count, 2,965, it probably should have like 400 more pages added to it because I was working on this the entire month, but that's not how my reading tracker works. So I just want to throw that in there. It was actually more pages than that. This book just didn't get done. So this is going to be fully on July's count. So that one's going to be a little inflated, but yes, this was the last book that I was supposed to read in June and I didn't quite get done. But had we finished this one, that page count would be ginormous and definitely higher than anything else I've managed this year. So 2,965 pages without the histories. The book breakdown is 5 physical reads, 3 audiobooks, 2 mixed media books where I was switching between the physical and the audio, and 1 ebook. I also read from 10 different genres, so had 11 books that I attempted to read and 10 different genres. So I had 2 historical fictions and then 1 each of mystery, magical realism, paranormal, fantasy, thriller, dark academia, crime, adventure, and contemporary. So yes, 10 different genres. That's pretty good. For my series update, because I am trying to cross off series, I did read 4 series books. 2 of them were continuations, so I read the Nancy Drew book, and I also read, where's it at? Oh, the Mysterious Benedict Society, my bad. So those are the 2 that I continued, and then I technically started 2 new series with The Family Upstairs and House of Salt and Sorrows, but I am not continuing with The Family Upstairs. As I mentioned, Lisa Jewell, not an author for me. I am going to continue with House of Salt and Sorrows. So 2 new series started, but one of those is a DNF. And then for the author breakdown, I read 5 new to me authors and 6 returning authors. So I'm trying to like boost the new authors. I'm reading a lot of returning authors because I'm wanting to cross series books off my TBR. So trying to boost the new authors, but also I know that I like these authors, so I want to read from their backlist. So it's kind of like a balancing act. But yes, that's the breakdown. Now, the last thing we're going to do before I sign off this video is I'm going to share my tiny little June book haul. So first of all, my pre-order for Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood came in. This is the Target edition because the one that I received was damaged like on the spine, so I'm sending it back. Amazon was doing something goofy, like it was having a hard time processing my exchange, so I just decided to return it. And then I picked this one up from Target, which is why it has the little Target sticker on here. It's got like an additional thing in it. I haven't really looked at it, but yes. That came in. This was a pre-order that I ordered last year. So that one did come in. I'm looking forward to reading this at some point in the future. And then because June was my birthday month, I got 2 Book of the Month books. So I have my actual June pick and then my freebie for my birthday gift, which is really nice of them. But the book I decided to go with was Ink, Blood, Sister, Scribe. This is by Emma Tors, I believe is how it's pronounced. That might not be correct. I need to look it up. But yes, this one is a fantasy book about 2 estranged half-sisters who are tasked with guarding their family's library of magical books. They must work together to unravel a deadly secret at the heart of their collection, a tale of familial loyalty and betrayal and the pursuit of magic and power. So this one's I hope it's a standalone. I think it's a standalone. Please be a standalone. But yes, this one sounded really interesting. So picked that one up for the June pick. And then the freebie that I got was one that I had been eyeing. If you know anything about me, you know I love Greek mythology. So I went with Clytemnestra. This is by Costanza Casati. And this I've had my eye on for a while. I almost picked it up in like a previous month, but birthday month, I got it for free. This one's a little bit thicker, but yes, Greek mythology. It's about Clytemnestra. She is the daughter of, oh, what's his name? Agamemnon. There we go. She is the daughter of Agamemnon. I believe she's somehow related to Helen. She might be Helen's sister. I truly can't remember. I feel like she's Helen's sister. She married Agamemnon, and then Helen married Menelaus, pronunciations. But yes, sorry, that was a tangent. Anyway, this was the freebie. I love Greek mythology, so obviously I went with this one because I wanted to read it anyway, and I really like the cover. I think it's really, really pretty, and why not get it as a book of the month if you can get it for free? So yes, just a short little book haul this month. I am technically on like a book no buy, except for like the book of the month. So this was a pre-order, so that doesn't count either. But yes, so it's a tiny little haul for June, but I'm really looking forward to reading all 3 of these. And that's that, y'all. That is the end of this reading recap for the month of June. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.